have to believe that we are all designers and take up the task of redesigning the interactions, interventions, and institutions that we are all a part of to not just strive for some equitable end goal, but to actually be equity in motion.
Listen deeply to those that are most impacted. 2, to ask different questions, not what can I do, but what can they do? How can I set the conditions for them to be the doers? 3, how can these students actually be the agents of change? Because they can do a lot more than we can.
Where are my liberators? Where are my freedom fighters? Where are my dream keepers? See, because there's a fundamental difference between schooling and education. And what we've been doing in this country has been schooling. Schooling is for compliance. Education is for liberation.
I want to create curricula that exposes middle school students to these professions that we do well in, use that as a backdrop to expose them to these cognitive assets that we have. And then once we have these disenfranchised learners re-engaged in the educational process, we can deliver all the social, emotional learning and executive functioning that we need. As a dyslexic, my responsibility is to create a program that can shepherd my dyslexic siblings out of shame and into the light of pride and self-actualization.
I see success in my future. I don't see failure. I'm okay. Well, I don't feel that way for my son because he doesn't have that quality that I had. And now I'm in a situation where I'm like, do I move? Do I relocate? I have to change our lives and my career based on the education he's provided.
There's a lot of real coaching and adult learning and development work that goes into even being able to prepare people for the paradigm shift that I think is necessary to actually do some of the bridging. That I've seen some really positive things in. And once you shift the question and shift the paradigm and shift the kaleidoscope that people are viewing the problem, we've actually seen some real positive momentum where folks are not using such dichotomous language. This is general, this is special education.
But that idea of having there be a role of learning engineer regularly in every district, that there's somebody whose work it is to translate research into practice and to keep that lockstep, right? That what we are doing is at least as good as what we know works.
Not hitting all of these areas of development for children, you're missing something. Children develop, these are highly integrated domains of development. We know that cognitive isn't over here, and then after lunch it's emotional, and then social at 4 o'clock. These are integrated aspects of children's lives, but if you're not hitting the development for children in all of these areas, they are missing out.
Kids. We'll give you 10 kids. Go work with them. We don't tell you, we say you probably need to teach them these 6 or 7 skills. We don't give them a curriculum. They're great teachers. We say, you know how to teach, you do it, but these are the things that the kids are weak on and they need to learn. And it's not surprising to me, but it was surprising to a lot of other people that this 1 week of teaching produced statistically significant results and impact on a child's life. Because one of the things we don't talk about a lot is good teaching matters. And if you can get 30 hours of just English, you think about your average high school kid goes an hour of English a day, I'm giving you, so in a month that's 20 hours. I'm giving you 30 hours of English in a month, in 1 week, with the best teachers we can find from across the country. It doesn't surprise me at all, it's impactful.
Of when you engage the community in a process, then the community owns it. So when it came to thinking about the strategic plan, I always say that I could have done the strategic plan with my senior management team in a couple of hours. I have a bright team of professionals. We could have done that in a couple of hours in my office. A document, I could be showing the document on screen. The problem with doing that is that I know from my experience in this field that unless you engage folks and people feel ownership of that work, that doesn't take off. So we knew that this was very important to do that. I wanted a plan that would be bold and visionary, that would shift and put people out of their comfort zones when they were thinking about the education and how kids can be educated in the future.
Worked hard to have a turnaround effort, not just in one school, but really a system-wide turnaround effort. We like to think of education as a community mission, and we want to transform the system that we have. So we're this small city, but we really punch out of our weight class with respect to the partners that we have in Salem.
And I really plead to funders in the room, like start now funding the things that we know will be the next ESSA structures. So we know that we have to have a better assessment system. We know we have to have a better accountability system. In this moment, we did not have that. Something that we felt, that policymakers felt we could grab onto and really trust that we wouldn't lose equity, that we wouldn't lose all the things that I've gained that Bob talked about. So I just urge us to think in that way and not to give up, but all of us have to do it in our own different pieces or we're gonna lose the whole opportunity. The next time we can really reimagine things, our next opportunity, we should be have already defined that ask, already defined that story, and already have it set in place to do.
If we didn't know there was such a thing as school, what would it be? It wouldn't be a science class, 45 minutes, ring a bell, go to an English class. That's not what life is. And this is where this all fits to the conference because it's about listening to students. It's about finding their interests and passions and engaging them. And that's what we did.
My topic was advocacy in the classroom. And we actually talked about how that works and how to actually find yourself in your own voice. And how do you find that, right? How do you get the courage to actually be able to advocate for yourself and then be able to advocate for the people around you?
We had these discussions about how we engage our student and some teachers, how they can have a connection with them and how they can provide them an learning environment in their classroom. Because so many times that some student doesn't want to learn, and how we have to solve that.
Treating them as a human being, you can't you can't be a teacher and just teach. You gotta really get to know your student and know who you're teaching to.
Talk about framing, which is a concept y'all might be familiar with, and that facts bounce off frames. If the fact you're giving me doesn't fit with my worldview, I don't reject my worldview, I reject your fact, right? So we have to find a way to get into people. How do we find those entry points? And what we learn through messaging research and testing is that those entry points are shared values. That's how we actually reach people, that's how we open them up to having a conversation with us, and that's how we change minds.